Okay, hi, Jill. Thank you for joining Katya and I on Model
Hi,
Cities. Hi, yay.
I'm
Hi, how are
very
you?
happy to be joining you guys. I feel very grateful that you guys wanted to speak with me.
Oh yeah, and we're super excited. So tell me, let's start from the beginning. First of all, how did you get into modeling? What made you decide you wanted to model?
Well, initially, I was very interested in as a child in the show America's Next Top Model. Like I'm talking about as a very young child, around 5 years old. I loved that show. It was one of my favorite shows. And my mom saw that I had taken such an intense interest in it. So I started modeling when I was 5. Um,
Wow.
Wow.
While I was living in Okinawa, Japan. I come from a military family, so I started my modeling career overseas.
Uh-huh.
Um,
In Japan?
Continued modeling up until I was about maybe 11. And then I hit a very severe and virulent awkward phase. It just would not go away. So those like 11 to 17, I stopped modeling, and then I picked back up again at 17. I started modeling locally with a local agency in Richmond, Virginia. I got a few jobs and everything. It was good, but I wanted to do something a little bit more. And then they offered me the ability to go overseas and take a contract. And like I said, I come from a military family. I have a lot of experience over in Asia. I kind of consider it like my second home or my home in general, considering I grew up there. So I was like, of course, yes, I would love to go model over in Asia. I got my first contract at 17 with EC Models in Shanghai. I flew out as a couple months after I graduated high school, and I just fell in love with the lifestyle, with the traveling and the working, and it just all worked out for me. And then since then, I've worked in China. I went back to Shanghai after that, as well as I worked in Thailand and South Korea.
So tell me how tall you are.
I am 5'7" or 172 centimeters.
Okay. So 5'7", did you find that it was difficult to model in the States being 5'7"?
Yes, I do believe that inside of the US, the modeling industry isn't as open to like kind of different body types and stuff like that, height being one of those issues. But I find that over in Asia, it doesn't seem to be as big of a problem. Like I would be very surprising for a girl of my height to walk runway in America.
Right.
But over in Asia, I walk runway. I do all of that stuff, because they just don't view the height as such a necessity.
So what do you think they look for in Asia?
I think that they look for very similar things, a lot of modeling, obviously your measurements have to be correct. I just think that they're a little bit more lenient about the height thing because people on average there are shorter.
Yeah.
So if you're 5'7" there, you are much larger than your average woman.
And what are your measurements, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, no, of course not. My measurements are 34, 24, 34.
Okay. And that's probably the perfect, yeah, I was going to say that's like the perfect size for most models now, being 5'7" too. So your first place that you modeled was in Shanghai, is that right?
Yes, as an adult.
As an adult. So when you turn 18, then you went over there. Did you go by yourself or did your mom go with you?
Oh, I went by myself.
You did. That's so brave. And you weren't scared at all?
No.
Nervous or anything to fly?
I've been flying my whole entire life. Like I said, I'm very used to moving around. By the time I graduated high school, I had been to 18 different schools. I'm very adept at like kind of conforming to new environments, making friends, all of that stuff.
So when let me just ask, when you got, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when you got to Shanghai, because I find this really interesting that you did this by yourself. So when you got to Shanghai, so did the agency meet you at the airport?
She's laughing.
Oh, that's a fun one.
No, because this is why I'm asking you is because I modeled in Japan and I modeled in Tokyo and Osaka, right? And then I modeled in Taiwan too. But one of my one of my main things that I always stipulated was that someone met me at the airport because, I mean, you can't read the signs. So tell me how you did that.
So, just for starters, just for some background information, that is about a 23-hour flight from where I live in America in Virginia to China. I took that 24-hour flight. I felt a brief instance of nervousness, which I immediately let go of because I'm like, I'm already on the plane. What am I going to do? Open the airlock? I'm going. You know, what's the point of being nervous now? I've already made my decision. My flight ended up being 2 hours early. So the car that they sent for me didn't show up. So I had to wait in the airport for 2 hours, just sitting on my suitcase, hoping that this guy showed up, because they didn't tell me they didn't tell me what his car would look like or anything. They just said he's going to be there holding a sign with your name on it, and I was like, okay.
And you didn't have the number of the agency?
I couldn't call anybody. I didn't have a SIM card.
Oh. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So I was just sitting there,
that's
just
a good,
like,
take note. Get the
I was just hoping it all worked out, you know, basically, and it did, and I was fine. So,
oh my God,
it was definitely a learning experience.
Yeah, it's for the first time ever going it. I would be a little nervous without, you know, having the agency's number in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
And what about language barrier?
Yeah.
How it's been for you?
Well, I find that, you know, the majority of things you can communicate, like not have a deep conversation, but, you know, I want this, I want that, through hand gestures and facial expressions. That's how I get around all of Asia, you know, because like Chinese is a very difficult language to learn. I'm not saying it would be impossible for me to. I'm just saying I would struggle, so I haven't learned that much of it. Mostly I'm just like, how much? Like, people tend to understand you, you know, it's surprising.
And did you find that most people could speak English?
It depends on where I went. You know, I found that in China, a lot of people did not speak any English at all. But in Thailand, a lot of people did speak English because, you know, there's a lot of Americans there and a lot of people traveling in and out. It's kind of a tourist destination in Bangkok. So they tended to speak more English.
So let me ask you this. So when you get and you said contract, so what does that look like? I mean, do you get like a certain guarantee or, I mean, you don't have to say how much if you don't want to, but is it a good chunk of change? So for how long and, you know, basically how much money do you get for the amount of time that you're there? And what does that mean? I mean, I know what a guarantee is, but maybe you want to explain it.
Yeah, just explain. I think that, you know, a lot of that kind of depends. You know, a standard contract for any model who's internationally modeling is 3 months. You know, on your first contract, they might send you for 2 months or 2.5 months, but standard is 3. And, you know, if you're a newer model starting out, you know, or you've never been to a certain area before, you're very unlikely to get a guarantee. And that's what a lot of girls don't seem to understand. You know, you need industry experience, you need contacts. You know, inside of the fashion industry, everything is very social. You know, the more people you know, the better you'll do. You know, if you work with clients and you get a good reputation, like, oh, she's a hard worker, or she's always on time, she's always properly prepared to do the job and she's not complaining, then you're more likely to book more contracts, get more guarantees, get higher guarantees, and just be more successful. So I would say the amount of money you make on a contract really depends on you, and it also depends on the time of year that you're coming in. Because, you know, some people have looks that are more suited to the winter season versus the summer season. I find that at least in my personal experience, it seems to be dependent on, you know, hair color and like skin color and stuff like that. So I find that the best time for me to work overseas in Asia, especially in China, is during the winter, because they shoot the summer stuff in the winter.
Right.
And I'm blonde, and they tend to just favor that look at that time of year. At least that's what the current cycle is like. You know, the fashion industry is continuously changing.
So you've been over there. How many times have you had contracts? And how many times have you been to Asia to model?
To model, I've been to
yeah.
Asia 4 times so far.
Okay.
I'm sitting on 2 contracts right now, one for Taiwan and one back in Shanghai. They're both guaranteed contracts because I have a lot more experience working over in Asia, so it's easier to get that. I'm just waiting for, the world to get into a little bit of a better place before
Yeah,
I
of course.
travel out,
Yeah. And so what do you love? I mean, have you modeled any in the States, and what do you love about modeling?
Um,
Two-part question.
okay, so I'll answer that first part first, chronological order. Um, I have modeled in the States, predominantly in the area that I live in.
Right.
Since I told you I live in Virginia.
Yeah.
It seems to me that a lot of the modeling jobs that I tend to book there tend to be bridal work. I don't know why. I guess I just that's a niche that I fill because of the way that I look. I tend to book a lot of bridal jobs when I'm home. And I personally love doing bridal work, because I don't know, what
Yeah.
woman doesn't want to feel like a princess, even if
Right.
it's only for a photo shoot. It makes me feel good. I think modeling has given, and now I'll move on to the second part of your question. And I would like to answer that in a few parts because there's a lot of things that I do really enjoy about this industry. Obviously, it does have its negative aspects, but for me, the positives outweigh the negatives. Like, for instance, I was bullied a lot growing up. I told you, a very long, awkward phase. I've always been lanky, like, despite being shorter, I have long extremities. I've been always very clumsy. I was bullied. I was picked on, and it's just, and I find that a lot of the women that I talk to that are working in this industry, like a lot of models, have been severely bullied throughout their life.
I was bullied in high school. How about you, Katya? Were you ever bullied?
Kind of, but
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, like, but I always played the leader. So
Yeah.
there were people that either loved me or hated me.
Yeah.
So I can
Me too.
experience both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
And
Okay, go ahead.
as I was saying, modeling gave me a lot of self-confidence because it allowed me to view myself in a different light. It allowed me to kind of separate my own internal feelings about myself from the way other people were perceiving me. It allowed me to have the creative space to, kind of in a way put on a character like an actor would. And in that, I discovered my own inner self-confidence, because you need a lot of confidence to be a model. Regardless of whether you feel it or not, you go on set and you turn it on, because that is the way you're going to get the best results. It's a job just like any other job. And once I learned how to access that part of myself, it improved my own perception of me drastically. And also, I've always considered myself to be creative. I've always been artistic. I'm also a licensed makeup artist and hairstylist. I got my I can't talk. I got my cosmetology degree while I was in high school. So that's always been a great passion of mine. I've always been looking for creative outlets and ways that I can, personify my art or be a part of somebody else's, because it's something that's important to me. I think it's one of the purest forms of self-expression is just, letting your visions out. And if I can be a part of that, in any way, shape, or form, I'm very happy to do that, and I think that modeling isn't viewed as an art form as much as it should be, but it definitely is. You're using your body to personify somebody else's vision, to personify somebody else's art. I think that's special.
Oh, I think that's so fabulous that you just said that. I really do believe it is art form. I think Katya and I have talked about that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And if you could inspire at least one person, so you already done your job. That's how I feel about it.
So what would you, if somebody wanted to get into the modeling business, what advice would you tell them, that about the business that you like or dislike, or what they needed to do or not do?
So for starters, if I was talking to a younger girl and she had everything in place, she had everything was working for her, I would say be really careful who you sign with initially, because if you do not have industry experience, people can take advantage of you. There's a lot of agencies out there that will make you pay excessive amounts of money. They'll make you pay to put you up on the website. They'll make you pay for every text message they send you or every email correspondence.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I've never heard that one. That's
I've known girls who are with agencies where it's like every time we text you, there's a bill.
Katya, you owe me a lot of money.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
I was shocked, and
I'm blown away by that
be
one.
careful about who you're letting represent you. And if you're a mother and you're having your young daughter or son get into this, be careful about who you're putting them with, because it can be damaging psychologically to some young people, because it is a harsh industry.
Well, it's a business.
It's a business, and it is a lot of people find it to be very cutthroat, because you are the product that you are marketing. And if you do not feel confident in that, or if you have any sense of self-doubt, it can be difficult to feel good about yourselves, because you just have to kind of separate yourself as a person. You're like, this is my work, my body is what I use to make money. It is not a reflection of how I feel about myself internally. And I think that that's the biggest, most important thing that girls need to remember, and men, is that, you might have to be a certain measurement to do your job, but that doesn't mean that if you aren't that measurement, there's anything wrong with you. Or a client might not like you. A client might say to your face, like, you're ugly. I've had them do that to me before over in Asia. Clients have walked up to me and been like, you're fat, you're ugly. You take awful pictures.
Oh, Lord.
And that happens. That's a reality of this industry. People will insult you. And if you can't handle that emotionally, you shouldn't be here.
Right. So you have to. And do you feel like
to see it, I hate to see a young girl be torn down like that.
And do you feel like, I've talked a little bit with your mom, do you feel like she has, and I don't know your dad, but do you feel like she has totally supported you in your modeling and kind of held you up and said, and to reinforce that, hey, that's not you, that's just them? And
Well, initially, it was actually my father who was very supportive of me going overseas and modeling internationally, because like I said, he was in the military. He believes that international travel and getting to know people of other cultures is a great way to enlighten yourself.
Yes.
There's so much closed-mindedness in the world right now. And I feel like that's a way to negate that. If you're meeting people from other cultures, you're getting to know them. You aren't focusing so much on your differences, whereas you're more focusing on your similarities. He felt like that was important to me, so he always encouraged it. My mom was a little bit iffy, not because she didn't support me, but because she worries, but after I started doing it, she's been very supportive, She's been, I believe that, I was very lucky to be raised in a household where it wasn't ever put like a lot of emphasis. I can't talk again. There wasn't a lot of emphasis put on how other people view you.
Right.
It was like, if you feel good about yourself, if you feel confident, you feel like you're making the right decisions, you can look at yourself in the mirror in the morning every day, be like, you're good enough, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. That's what's important, because there's always going to be people who don't like you.
Yep, that is.
I was lucky to be raised in that kind of environment.
Yeah.
And there are going to be people that are going to love you.
Yeah, it goes both ways, though, You can't strive to be everybody's best friend.
Right.
And I think a lot of people feel that way, and I think that that's why some people have difficulties in this industry.
Right. So when I'll just say for me, when I went away to Taiwan and Japan, and Tokyo, I found it was very difficult to stay away for those 3 months, 6 months. Sometimes I did 6 months. And did your parents ever come visit you, or you just, no, they never did?
No, I'm perfectly fine. Like I said, I travel a lot. I really value that time. I love what I do. I love my work, and I take it in a personal way. I take it as a time for self-discovery. because I think that it's important to always reevaluate yourself. And I think that the only way to do that effectively for a lot of people, for me specifically, is to be alone and develop that kind of independence. And I didn't have a problem up until around month number 9.
Yeah. And then you started
after 9 months in, I was like, oh my God, I'm missing my family so much. But you have to understand, I come from a different environment. You know, my dad would go away for 9 months at a time when I was a child because he was in the military. You know, he was overseas working as well. So I was kind of more equipped to handle that.
You were.
Beginning.
Yeah. I mean, I was 3 months and I was like, I'm going to go home. This is so hard. Oh, speaking of, I mean, you definitely do like 12, 14 hour, 16 hour days, correct?
Oh, I've done a 24 before. The last time I was in China, I had this horrible experience where I woke up at 3 a.m. to go to a fashion show. It was a 3 hour, no, it was like a 3 or 4 hour car ride to get there.
Wow.
We get there, we do hair and makeup. You know, they always start the shows really early. So hair, makeup, clothes, right there for like 6 hours. Do the fashion show. Then, of course, you know, afterwards, you have to wait until all of the announcements are done and everything. By the time we got on the bus again, it was 12 o'clock at night, another 3 or 4 hour drive back. And then we had to get into a taxi because they wouldn't drop us off at our apartment. And we got into a taxi. The taxi got lost. We're walking, me and my roommate in China at 4 a.m, trying to walk back to our apartment complex. We're both just dying. You know?
Now, how old were you when that happened?
20.
Oh, 20. Okay.
So this wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. And so you've been modeling for 4 years? I mean, I know you did it when you were younger, but now, how long have you been? For 4 years. Mm-hmm. And so besides doing just in Virginia, you haven't done anywhere else?
No, I actually haven't modeled a lot inside of the US.
Right. Mm-hmm. So what do you think that your next, besides, I mean, I hear you have 2 other contracts, but what are your other goals that you have? What is your next thought about modeling? I mean, what are your goals that you want to do?
So basically, I would like to just be able to continue to travel for as long as I can. I'd like to see, you know, where it kind of takes me in that aspect. I wouldn't say I have any specific concrete goals because in this industry, it's very hard to, you know, kind of be like, oh, well, one day I want to walk for these people or this and that, you know, because you don't know if it'll ever happen. And I like to be realistic with myself. I would like to do my best, you know. I would like to work as hard as I can, know I'm working as hard as I can, and whatever comes in that, you know, at least I could say I was giving it my all, you know. Right. I don't have any specific goals. I just want to fulfill my own potential, whatever that may be.
And so after modeling, what is your thoughts about what you want to do after modeling?
Well, that's why I got my cosmetology degree while I was still in high school, because you know, modeling isn't forever. And I wanted something to be able to fall back on. And I have been doing professional makeup just a little longer than I've been modeling. I've worked on a few photo shoots. I've done behind the camera work as well. So I'm hoping that one day I can use all of the contacts that I'm making in the fashion industry, all of these contacts with designers, other makeup artists, photographers, kind of use that as a stepping stone to further my makeup business.
Mm-hmm. And besides modeling, do you have any other hobbies besides the hair and makeup? Do you like doing fun stuff? Dancing?
I'm a fairly boring human being in the sense that I'm a little bit of a nerd. My own personal hobbies, I read a lot, like a ridiculous amount. I'm continuously reading. I like to draw, but most of my time is occupied by reading. I feel like if I'm not learning something new every day, I feel kind of stagnant. Wow. You know, and it's very important to me to keep that kind of to keep my brain sharp, you know, because modeling is difficult. It's physically challenging and everything, but I'm not in school. I'm not in college. I've never been to college. So I take it very personally that I want to be educated, and I'm going to educate myself.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever think, oh, I'm sorry, I missed college?
No.
No.
No, absolutely
Me
not.
neither.
It's not for everybody, and it wasn't for me. I wouldn't trade the life experiences I've had for anything in the world.
Well, I think
No,
it can be the best education there is to travel around the world.
and I don't feel like I'm lacking because I missed out on that. I don't even feel like I necessarily missed out. I think college is great if you want to go into a specific industry that requires a college degree. But so many people nowadays are getting college degrees just because they say you should go to college.
Right.
And they end up not being very useful. I'm a big proponent and a big supporter of the trades. You know, I think that even in modern day kind of society, they're still looked down upon, you know, like, oh, you're a hairstylist or you're a plumber or you're an electrician. But I think, you know, college isn't for everybody. You know, some people should just work in the trades, and that's perfectly fine, you know.
Oh, I think that's good too.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I feel like nowadays we really have all the resources. You can Google anything and learn anything. So, and I'm amazed that people nowadays like don't really use it. I get messages from girls on social media, oh, can you tell me everything about modeling? It's like, you can just Google which YouTube and
or take our workshop.
Or take our workshop. I self-promo.
Or take our workshop.
I mean, it doesn't bother me to share my own personal experiences with other girls, but I just like to let them know these are my own personal experiences.
Yes, of course.
You know, it might not relate to you at all. Everybody has a very different experience inside of the industry, and I never want to take anybody's opinion one way or another because of my own experiences.
Right, and everybody does modeling in different ways. So you've done it mostly in Asia. I did mostly in Europe. Katya right now.
Totally different scenarios.
Yeah, it's different. Isn't Katya in the States? So it just depends on your look and the time and sort of where you are. So do you feel like social media, tell me about social media for you. Do you feel like that's important in your business, or doesn't really make any difference? Or
I will tell you that I do believe that social media is a very important way that a model can market themselves, but I will not sit here and lie to you and say that I am good at it. I am not a big social media person. I just don't enjoy it. You know, some people really enjoy social media and posting on it and everything. I do it because it does benefit me. It does help my job. But do I think I'll ever have a ton of followers on there or anything? No, because I'm just not as devoted as a lot of people are. But I would say if you do want to get into modeling, it's a good start. You know, a lot of agencies are signing girls just because they have this number of followers. You know, the world is changing. The modeling industry is changing. Social media definitely plays a key role in that.
Yeah. I was talking to my friend yesterday who's worked at Elite for 30 years. She was a scout for 30 years. And she was like, you know, I just can't keep up with this social media sometimes, because she's like, I have to do the website and the Instagram and the TikTok and the Facebook. And we were both laughing, you know, I just can't keep up with it all. It's so much.
So fast. Like I do TikTok, and the trends goes like this. You know, today it's one trend, tomorrow it's another one. And if you're behind, you are behind, and people know that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. Yeah, because, you know, if you haven't posted today, then it's not a trend anymore. Nobody gonna watch it.
Yeah, it's something you have to constantly be keeping track of, you know, up to date about.
Yeah, you have to post like 3 times a day to get all that. Right. So do you have a favorite designer or photographer or a model that you like?
I do have a favorite model.
Okay, who's that?
One that I really look up to, and that would be Rose Huntington Whiteley. I love her. I think she's stunningly gorgeous, and I have always It is a dream. I would love to be a Victoria's Secret model. I am fully aware I will never be a Victoria's Secret model, but a girl has got to have dreams,
Well,
okay?
that's what I was saying about your goals. Yeah, you got to have them. Come on.
I was
wouldn't call it a
inspired.
goal. It's more of like a pipe dream, you know?
Oh, well, you never know. I mean, nowadays it's any shape or sizes or height or ethnicity. It's everything. So you just don't know. You never know what's going to happen.
Especially, I feel like Victoria's Secret have made so many changes in a
Yes.
couple like years. So you don't know. Like, I mean, they're already representing different sizes. So the next step is, I feel like, height. That's
I do
what's
too.
next.
I do too. I really do. Sizes, height, everything. I mean, you know, I was also, when I was talking to my friend, I was like, you know, so petite models, which agency? And she's like giving me the list. And I'm like, okay, this is great. You know, it's like, so it's happening. I mean, the agencies would not have anybody petite if it wasn't happening. So
That's very
not that
true.
you're that petite, you're not, but you know, I'm just talking about under 5'9". That's what
I am on the shorter side, I will admit. Whenever I go on my overseas contracts, everyone is like towering over me, and I'm like, "Hi guys, what's up?"
So speaking of, do you have to ever, do they book you directly, or did you ever have to go on any castings?
Oh, I've gone on a lot of castings. Normally when I show up to a place, they have maybe 3 or 4 jobs booked directly for me,
Right.
because they wouldn't bring me there if they didn't think I'd work. But depending on the area you're in, castings can be very rigorous. Like when I'm in China, I'm on the casting bus sometimes for 12 hours a day.
Wow.
Just going from casting to casting to casting.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be on at every single one of those, because every single one is a job opportunity. And I don't care. Like, I will walk into a casting, they'll be like, we only want girls with dark hair. We only want girls that look like this. And I'm still just like, here I am.
Yeah.
You know, you have to try. You have to try.
Exactly.
It's like, you get a million no's before you will ever get one yes.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think castings are really important, and it's a lot, and I've used them as a learning experience a lot, because I've been able to see, you know, when I was a younger model, I was like 18, just starting out over there, I was able to see girls who had been modeling, like Russian girls, who had been modeling over there since they were 14.
Wow.
You know, so much more experience, and they all call us up and like, you do your posing and everything, and I learned a lot from watching other people.
I know, I always found that so fascinating that you would have to get up. I was telling Katya about this. You have to get up and go, okay, now do your poses. And they would make you do like 100 poses within that 5 seconds. It's like, doo, 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 and then you'd have to do it really quick.
What do they call it? Like fast posing? Like,
I don't know. What do they call it? They just
told me. If you go on YouTube, like, you'll be amazed. Like, I've watched a few videos, and literally it's like 100 poses in a minute.
In a minute, yeah. And that's what you have
I am not that talented, but I do my best.
Because that's what you have to do when they say, okay, now pose for us, and you're like, what?
Yeah, and I've been on some castings where they've asked us to do ridiculous stuff, like for TVCs. Yeah. I will say I will try pretty much anything. I want the job, you know.
Yeah.
I always want the job. I don't care what it is. I want that to be my job.
Yeah.
But I draw the line in the sand. With dancing, I will not dance. I am a terrible dancer. I will not do it. It is where I draw the line. And I was at a TVC casting, and they were like, okay, you, and you, and they picked me, and I was like, yes, TVC, you know, gonna make a lot of money. It's a commercial. Mm-hmm. They were like, how about you dance for us? And I was like, and that is the only time I've left a casting, because I was like, I physically can't. Like, I physically can't. I am a person who lacks a sense of embarrassment like you would not believe. I have walked through malls in my freaking underwear, but that is where I draw the line, you know? And I was like, I'm so sorry. I really appreciate the offer. I really appreciate your interest, but I will physically pee my pants if I have to dance in front of all of these people. I'm gonna throw up. Like, even suggesting that is terrifying the living holy heck out of me. I have to go.
That and is so funny.
My booker there was so mad at me. She was like, Jill, you do it now. And I was like, no, I can't.
Well, you didn't feel comfortable. That's okay. That's totally
And yeah, it was more than that because I was there. I'm the only American there. The rest of these girls are Brazilian that they've picked, and I'm like, I know these ladies can dance. I've seen them do it. I live in the apartment right next to them. They're freaking sambaing in there all the time. I will not get up there and embarrass my white self like that. You know? Heck no.
So funny. So, Katya, do you have any questions you wanted to ask her? Anything that you, as a model, you wanted to know?
As a model, like one question, like since you had this international experience, like I was really interested because I know some agencies give you, I don't know, a certain amount of money per week that you can spend on, you know, like food and stuff like that. Like how it's been for you?
I mean, most of the time it's fairly decent. You aren't going to be like living the life of luxury off of agency pocket money, of course. Like you have to be kind of smart and budget yourself. But I think, you know, a lot of people or have to budget their spending and everything like that. You know, you can't go out to eat a lot, but I just tend to cook at home and I've never really had a problem. I've never ran out of money. I know girls who did run out of money because they were like, I'm taking my pocket money and I'm buying makeup and clothes and all of this stuff. But I never really did that. So I was always fine. I have had to give some of my friends like the pocket money that I had left over because they just had to have those shoes or whatever. And I'm like, don't you? And I had a roommate and she would always be buying clothes and she would run out of pocket money. And I'd be like, Tasha, like, what are you going to do? You have to eat. And she was from Russia and she was just like, I am the model. I don't need to eat. And I was like, me too, but like, please let me buy you some rice at least. Like, I'm not gonna watch you starve for the next week.
Yeah, that sounds like Russian.
I know it does. It really does.
I have been around a lot of Russian women. Overseas, the modeling industry is predominantly Russian girls and Brazilian girls. I'm normally the only American there. And I've had a lot of fun experiences because of that. I will tell you, I do love Russian people. You know, their accent makes me laugh really hard, like not in a bad way, not at them. I've told my Russian roommates to their face, like, when you say certain things, you know, cute things, that's the funny thing to hear in a Russian accent, like, oh, look at the cat, so sweet. And I'm just like, you sound like you want to murder it, but I understand where you're coming from. It's very funny.
Oh, that's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't do a really good Russian accent. I've been working on it for so long.
You did great, though.
You did great. I was going to say, can you say cats? Katya, please.
I don't know. I feel like I'm getting put on the spot.
I don't know.
Cats.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm probably just offending everyone.
No,
I'm doing it with love. I love the accent.
I do too. I love accents anyway. I don't care.
I do. I love accents. Most of my friends have accents. Even my friends who live in America, like I'm friends with all these Brazilian girls here. I barely have American friends. My best friend is Brazilian. My other best friend is from Albania. You know, and they both have some accents going on. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I wish I had a fun one like that.
Me too. I love the French one. That's my favorite.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
Ooh la la.
Yes,
I remember
exactly.
I used to be insecure of my accent when I just got here, and then I realized that people actually like it and they compliment. It's like, oh, where is your accent coming from? It's like,
it's
just like the way you say
accents. It's true.
It's beautiful.
Everyone I talk to is just like, oh my God, I love this accent. I wish I had an accent and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you do have an accent. You have an American accent.
Yeah.
You can't tell because everyone else around you also has one.
I know everybody used to say, oh, you have such a New York accent. And then I moved back down to Virginia, and now I have a Virginia accent.
People tell me I have a slight Southern accent. I cannot hear it myself, but it does come out when I say certain words. Like everyone told me I say Florida weird. Like I'm in Florida right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't hear it any different.
Good.
Yeah. So do you have a mother agency? And tell me, if you do, who is that?
Yes, I'm currently signed with Surprise Models in Greece.
Mhm.
They represent internationally. They do not represent inside of the US. So I'm currently lacking representation inside of the US.
Okay.
For a long time, I wasn't considering being represented inside the US because I was like, I'm traveling and everything. But my family has recently gotten the opportunity to move to Thailand for 2 years. So now I'll definitely be seeking out a mother agency inside of the US because I want the opportunity to be able to come
Come
back.
back home.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. And how long are you going to stay in Taiwan?
Thailand.
Thailand.
I don't know how long I'll be staying there. My parents intend to stay for 2 years, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
go there. I'm gonna get my own apartment. I love
Right.
it there.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I grew up in Japan.
Yeah.
So, and Japan and Thailand are very different, like culturally, but you know, the climate is similar,
Yes.
and I just feel very comfortable there. When I stepped off the plane in Thailand, I was like, I am home.
Oh, nice.
It reminded me
It's
so much of my
beautiful.
childhood because I'm used to living in a very tropical environment.
Right.
People are very friendly there, very similar in that sense. So I don't know if I'll ever come back, to be honest with you.
Oh, don't say that. Okay.
I certainly would like to stay there for a couple years. I will
Yeah.
say I'm very, very happy there.
Well, I'm super excited that you came and talked with us about Asia and about your modeling experience. And we're so grateful. So thank
Yeah.
you so much.
And
Oh,
one more question, where
Yes.
people can find you?
Oh, yep.
so currently I am on Instagram and it's Jill_models because that's what Jill does.
Love it.
Yeah.
So that's my Instagram and that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm not super big into social media.
Yeah.
You can find me on there awkwardly trying to relate to the general public with my uncomfortable captions, you know. I told you I was bullied a lot for a reason. I'm kind of a weirdo.
No,
But
you're
you know,
not. You're not at all. I don't
if
think
you
you are
wanna
a weirdo.
if you wanna hop on the train with me, there it is.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much for the opportunity. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say it means a lot to me to be able to speak with you. You are a very impressive woman,
Oh,
and I aspire one day to, you know, follow in your footsteps a little bit.
oh,
So I
wow.
want to speak to somebody who is where I'd like to be.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet.
And it was
Wow.
wonderful meeting you as well.
It was so great to meet you too. Like, it was a great
It
conversation.
really was. It really was. Thank you so much.
Thank you.